super interesting. So I came down here to Loudoun County, Virginia, which is like ground zero for this crazy like thing that's happening in American politics, which is I think being reflected in the gubernatorial election results tonight. Katie, how familiar are you with this whole story?
I mean, Terry, what I don't like about Terry, ready?
He's a Clinton person.
Of course. But he doesn't sound like he's from Virginia, does he now?
Uh,
He doesn't. And it's because he's not. I thought he was from the Midwest. You know where he's from?
where is he from?
Upstate New York. I think Syracuse.
Syracuse.
And that's why he sounded like he had a Midwestern accent, because they have that up there. Do you know what I'm talking about? In some areas up north? Yeah. So
That's
anyway.
Joe Biden has a Syracuse connection, obviously we know about.
That's where he graduated in the top of his law school.
Yeah, the top being like the last three,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was he was like 73 out of 80 or something like that?
Something ridiculously bad. Yeah.
So okay, so this is a crazy story, and I got here earlier today, and I've been like pounding the pavement, talked to a whole bunch of people, including some of the leaders of some of these family groups that are sort of responsible for the
Youngkin success, relative success.
Exactly, and
so she thinks it's total disaster for Dems and bloodbath coming next year.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, it's showing. So what are the results? Jesus. Loudoun County, that's where you were at. Matt, you pushed it left. You pushed him to the
Loudoun County. So I mean, that's a significant number for Youngkin. Now, and this is what I want to talk about. For those who don't know the story, McAuliffe was going to win this thing in a walk. Like, I talked to one guy today who is like a hardcore conservative, homeschooled, deeply religious, and basically was saying, like, I was not even planning on voting because the consensus was it wasn't going to be close. And then So it was sort of this come from ahead loss by McAuliffe with unbelievably sort of rapid collapse of this candidate. And it all started with this weird story in Loudoun County, Virginia, which is one of the wealthiest and highest educated counties in America. In fact, I think it might be at the top of both of those lists. I'm not sure. It's at or near the top of both of those lists in terms of percentage of college graduates and like highest per capita income. So what happened basically is there was this sort of a minor controversy about like trans policy at one of the school district, and there was a teacher, a gym teacher, who got up and gave it a speech and essentially said something to the effect of, I think his name was Tanner Cross, and he kind of sort of expressed some objections on religious grounds. He said it was religious. He's an elementary school gym teacher, so that it was weird already that this was even coming up. And he got put in suspension for giving that speech, which annoyed some of the parents in the district. And then there was this whole secondary thing that happened after that, involving a guy named Scott Smith, whose daughter allegedly, actually not even allegedly anymore. It's now it's been the this sort of juvenile version of a conviction already. There was an assault in a bathroom. She had a prior relationship with this also underage guy who wore a skirt, and the school was being cagey about whether or not they were admitting that there had been any reported incidents in a bathroom, because they were trying to pass a trans rights policy that involved bathroom use. And just so that we're clear, that issue is actually almost completely tangential to this whole thing. Uh, it's got a lot of people up in arms if you read the op-ed pages, like as if this is a big anti-trans thing. It's really not significantly about that at all. This is really about the school board uh, in this one district, Loudoun County, allegedly, like it depends on who you talk to. The Republicans will all say that the school board is not being straight with them and has hidden certain things from them and won't listen to them and has done things like shut off the cameras in town meetings so that speeches by parents are no longer recorded because they were going viral and it was becoming unpopular for the school board. So it's this big square up between elected officials and the school board and the parents. And then McAuliffe kept taking these positions, essentially saying like we can't let parents push us around. We can play the exact verbiage. And there were a number of interviews, like Chuck Todd also interviewed McAuliffe about this issue, and McAuliffe would say things like, we can't let parents decide this, or even tangentially, just for a moment, it's a bad soundbite.
Right.
And I watched today people coming to vote, and the thing that was most obvious was that Asian and South Asian parents were taking the Republican literature and not taking it from the Democratic volunteers. And I had more than one. I had a number of people basically saying the same thing, which is a lot of these sort of upper class, like wealthy immigrant families came to this country specifically because of the good schools, and they're very, very traditional about education. They want to be involved, and they've always voted Democratic. And this was the big sea change of the Trump years was that upper class wealthy districts like this went completely Democratic in the Trump years. And now for it to go back to anywhere near 50-50 is like a catastrophe for Democrats. So that's why that number of like 56 to 44 or whatever it was is like a really bad sign. And that's what Crystal's talking about, which is, that it was almost impossible for Democrats to lose areas like this, or even have to compete in areas like this after Trump. And now they're in a fight because they've taken some very strange positions about the sort of role of parents in schooling. So, and then the father flipped out at a meeting on June 22nd. And Wilson, I think I sent you that clip. You can see. So basically, there was a town meeting. The father got up, he spoke. There were some parents who were upset, and I should stress, like I'm at the initial stage of reporting on all this, so like this is just early impressions.
Right.
I don't have the whole thing nailed down, but it was after the meeting, some sheriff's deputies, he had gotten into an argument with a woman after the meeting, and they were getting hot, and a sheriff's deputy went and grabbed him. He, depending on who you talk to, he either resisted a little or he resisted a lot. He ended up getting arrested, and this became part of the predicate for for Merrick Garland's whole memo about threatening parents at school board meetings. So, and then the other thing is there's this group now in Loudoun County called Fight for Parents. The composition of it is really interesting. It's got some like hardcore Republicans in there, but it's got a lot of sort of old school traditional liberal Democrats. Like one of the board members voted for both Clinton and Biden, and I ran into a number of people who had that kind of profile today. Like one of the people I interviewed was Indian American. He had voted for Obama. Then in 2008. Then he voted for Romney in 2012. Then he voted for Clinton in 2016. Then he didn't vote for anybody else in 2020, but was going to vote for Youngkin now, right? So there's this sort of new types of voters who are coming back again and voting against Republicans, voting against Democrats, and these people didn't exist when Trump was the candidate. Like, because Youngkin isn't completely batshit crazy, and there's this issue. It's created this problem for Democrats.
Hello, thank you so much for listening to and watching Useful Idiots. For full episodes and extended interviews, please subscribe at usefulidiots.substack.com. You can subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/usefulidiots for clips, live streams, and full episodes.